Lagos now I only you. A beautiful city, I must conquer. Lagos now we city, the heaven of investment. Blue lines have done there from Okoko Maiko to Marina. Everywhere you enter, Lagos too sweet. We got good road, we got structure. Better healthcare, tourist attractions. Better food, setting locations. Security, entertainment, better job, world-class bridges, better government, beautiful culture, electricity, everywhere.
Lagos, a city full of dreams, diversity, and unstoppable energy. Home to over 20 million people and still growing fast. But with all the hustle and rapid development, have you ever wondered what keeps the city in shape? Good evening and welcome to another episode of State on Focus. I am Aramide Phillips, and this evening we are exploring the story of a ministry that does not just respond to growth, it plans for it. Behind every new neighborhood, every road network you see in Lagos, there is a vision. And that vision is being driven by the Lagos State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. Their job, making sure Lagos grows the right way, organized, sustainable, and livable for everyone. This evening, I'm honored to be joined by someone leading that effort, the Honorable Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Oluyinka Abiodun Olumide. Dr. Olumide, thank you so much for joining us, sir. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
All right, sir. Sir, let's start from the basics. Could you please briefly walk us through the core mission and vision of the Lagos State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development?
Yeah, thank you very much. The vision is very simple, and that is making Lagos a smart city of choice.
Okay.
And this is very important because a couple of months back, Lagos was even rated as the, I think, 17th or so of modern smart cities in the world.
Yes.
And it is our intention to raise that position to within the first 10. It's very important because even in Africa, we are probably number 4 or 5 thereabout now. And like we used to say, and we know, and for those of us that believe in that, as Nigeria being the giant of Africa, so the onus is on us to ensure that we give ourselves a smart city of choice.
All right, sir. So, sir, since its inception, the ministry has no doubt played a pivotal role in shaping Lagos. So what will you say are some of the standout achievements or milestones so far?
Again, thank you very much. I think it's important for our people to understand the importance of this ministry, Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. As the name implies, plan. And there is nothing you can do on this surface of the earth that without having a plan. In actual fact, not making a plan is also making a plan. So, but the ministry, like I said, plays that role of championing and providing a course of action for the physical development action of the state government.
Okay.
All the basic infrastructures and the whole planning of all the states, the ministry is saddled with that responsibility. All other ministries take root from activities of this ministry, i.e. by way of the operating development plans that are produced. Because those plans are actually they chart the course of development for the state. For example, if you talk of bridges infrastructure, road infrastructures, drainage infrastructures, educational infrastructures, health facilities, every one of these things takes root from that plan.
All right, sir, well done on the work, sir. Sir, with all of these plans, we can confidently say that Lagos is growing rapidly. Some say it's one of the fastest growing cities in the world. How is the ministry keeping up with this pace and ensuring that development is both strategic and sustainable?
Yeah. When plans are made, plans cannot be made in perpetuity for operational activities. Plans are made and expected to run within a certain period of time. In this case, mostly a region of 10 to 20 years.
Okay.
Now, when we have those plans, of course, you will agree with me that as human beings, of all the factors of production,
Yes.
it is only human being that is unpredictable and can probably go out of order. What I'm trying to say is that if you set up a factory to produce something, the machine will behave as you program them.
Yes.
The facilities, infrastructure will behave as you plan them. Your money will behave as you anticipated, either it's fixed or it's put into operation. But human beings can somehow go out of order. And what that means to us is that when we have those plans,
Yes.
it now puts a responsibility on us to ensure that it's regularly aligned with the overall goal of that plan. We have a short-term, medium-term review of those plans. For example, if you look at the Alimosho modernization plans that we have, it's already identified there that at the Ikotun area, it's going to be a flyover here as a way of easing the traffic congestion in that area. And most of the infrastructure that you see going on there are all offshoots of all those plans that we have. Again, what may be of interest to our populace is that what is the level of implementation of this plan? Because government plans are deemed to be at the entire purview of the government, which we've seen now that it doesn't necessarily have to go that way. Part of the plans in terms of execution will also be undertaken by private sectors, and that is where the world is tending to. So it's more of a responsibility of the government now to chart the course and provide the enabling environment for private sector participation in the execution of those plans. And we've not been doing badly. Most of the plans that we've done, we've recorded a slightly higher than average level of mark, which is somehow commendable. But what we have now, there has been a department that is being set up now as a way of, and this is a fallout from the last, the very first fiscal planning summit that was held sometime in October last year. And what we got as feedback from participants is that apart from the provision of those plans, we should also have in place the machinery to monitor the implementation of those plans. And this we've set to achieve.
Oh, kudos on that, sir. All right, so let's look at with the demand for space within Lagos State. I would like to ask, how does the ministry strike a balance between residential needs, commercial hubs, and infrastructure development?
Okay. You know, we need to have an understanding of planning. When you talk about planning generally, it simply means, I'm taking that to the grassroots now.
Yes.
It simply means that you want to assess yourself of what you are doing or what you have in line with the new vision of what you intend to have. That is the basis of planning. Now, sometimes in, I think around the early 70s, the population of Lagos was around 5-6 million. Now, today what we have is definitely above 25 million, if not close to 25 million. That again puts a very, very onerous tax on us in terms of for planning. Now, I've often at time I've had cause to discuss with people who will say that Ikoyi, in those days, should be maintained. It will be practically impossible with the population that we have. And that's what we even have in plan, which we call gentrification. What that simply means that a replacement of existing slum into a high grade. That is the whole essence. And that is all what we are praying for in the world. Everybody is praying to be successful.
Yes.
Now, when you are successful, it means your level of living will definitely have to increase.
Definitely.
So that again leads us to the fact that there is the need for us to constantly review our plans. Now, if you have maybe late 60s, early 70s, you're talking of a unit family in a land of 6,000 square meter.
Yes.
For God's sake, that cannot be reasonable now. Definitely cannot. So we constantly review our operating development plans to ensure that we take in, we respond very rapidly and quickly to the demands of the occasion by way of changing the approval order of some of our enclaves. And again, another very vital thing that we also need to understand is that we have realized it, and we are making steps to leverage on inter-regional cooperation. I mean, neighbors, our neighbor, which is basically Ogun State, Oyo State, in fact, the southwestern states of the country, that if we are talking of planning now, that we may not be able to restrict planning vision and exclusively for Lagos. We may have to open up. And what do I mean by this? Again, in Lagos, we are all in Nigeria. If, for example, you have somebody in Bauchi, for example, you don't need a visa to come to Lagos. You can wake up in Ibadan today and say, okay, I'm going to Lagos. You will come. Now, if we've planned and like we know, even the rate of increase of population in Lagos is as a result majorly for influx of people from all other parts of Nigeria. So again, what that means is that our sister states should also endeavor that they do the needful in terms of attracting and retaining their people. Lagos, if it's just about 30% of the whole Nigeria, and we take over 10% of the population. So that puts stress and strain on us on the infrastructure provided. So again, like I said, if you see the plans that we have now, the mobility policy for Lagos State now, if somebody is living in Banana Island or Eco Atlantic, for example, you may not expect the person there to be the gardener that is tending the flowers or the drivers and the like. They may not be able to live in that area. Now, that, of course, is a problem. Now, what quick solutions to that is that we may have to leverage on our transportation policy so that they can live in a far area like Songo, Agbara, for example, and you have a train facility that will only take about 15 to 30 minutes to bring them. So it makes sense for us to open up the environment in terms of providing ease of mobility. It's all part of planning, so they can live that way and come down here. It happens everywhere in the world. You have people that live in Manchester, for example, and work in central London. So this all essence about we need to open it up. But again, I must emphasize that, look, that our neighboring states should also endeavor to improve on their own planning facilities so that they can retain their people. Lagos cannot cater for the whole of Nigeria. It's impossible. You did ask about the zoning of our plans. You know, when plans are made, prior to making of those plans, what we do is that already you have the previous plan. If, for example, is getting close towards the end of the expiration of the term, you go in there and the contract is awarded to the consultant. What is normally done is a review of the existing plan, and you now go into those communities and talk with the people at the grassroots. For example, if you look at if you pick education, for example, you want to look at the previous plan that, okay, how many primary schools are here, how many secondary schools are here, how many tertiary institutions are here, what has been the trend of population growth in terms of demographic studies. Now, again, you want to look at it that, okay, what has been the development in terms of educational need. If, for example, you have the previous plan with 6 primary schools, for example, and you have a children population of about, let's say, 120,000. Now, in this new one, it has moved from 120,000 to about, let's say, 750,000. That again tells us that there will be need for education. So all this goes into the plan for the Ministry of Education to make preparation for expansion of the educational facilities. Now, the same thing goes for zoning of space. We have spaces that will be zoned as residential areas that will be zoned as commercial, industrial, educational, and various likes. And this again has to be reviewed. What is the level of commerce? The existing one in the current plan, how has it been? And we find cases whereby exclusively residential area are turned into mixed development. Now, what that tells us is that in the upgrading on or upcoming plan for that particular area, we have to make provision for expansion. Either you designate those areas that are either mixed or commercial, or from residential to commercial. If you have, for example, previously, most areas around Victoria Island are exclusively residential.
Yes.
But over time, they've turned into mixed development. So if you are reviewing that plan, it does not make sense to still think that they will remain as commercial. However, you may have a case for special reason that you want to exclusively preserve certain area. That means you have to go all in. But the most important thing in execution of plan is that you react to plan and you make plan for the future.
All right, sir. Building permits have often been a topic of public discussion. For someone looking to build, could you break down what the process of obtaining a building permit, how it is today? And are there recent improvements or digital reforms in that space? And I'll also like you to talk about, let's use this to also talk about what happens to people who do not follow this trend. Okay.
One of the responsibilities of the ministry is to ensure that all the buildings in the states are duly registered by way of planning permits, and that they are constructed to the highest standards of building codes and norms. Now, in Lagos, I can tell you authoritatively that we have all the laws clearly stated, and we are doing very, very well on that. And to attest to the facts is that overseas states have approached us to understudy the way we go about our planning laws in the state. And it's very, very simple. This is a kind of question that I answer almost everywhere I go. And that, again, even from the study that we carried out, is that we have not yet done enough sensitization and publicity in terms of letting the populace know about the process of building plannings and development. Now, for us to develop in Lagos, like I said, it's very simple. What are the processes? One, you cannot build in the air, so you need land. Now, in Lagos, you can buy land from family or private individual, the so-called omonile, or you can make an application to the government by way of allocation in various schemes. So those are the two basic means of development in Lagos. Now, once you've gotten the land, now the challenge is that a land is owned by a family. A family may comprise of about, let's say, 40 different individuals.
Yes.
Now, naturally and traditionally, the person that has the authority of that land should probably be the most senior, or the anointed or appointed head. And such a person will probably be given the right to sign off on an assignment that, okay, this family is disposing of this part of our land. Now, but if you now have a case that somebody, a small person in the family, just because called somebody and sold off part of the land, who doesn't have authority, of course, they'll probably go to CMS and buy one small receipt, and that cannot be an authority that you own the land. So if such a person approach the ministry now, you are going to have challenge because you don't have the root of title. You don't have evidence to say that I am the owner of this land. And you cannot commence the process of building permits if you don't have evidence of authority of ownership of that particular land. But that has been simplified now at the lands bureaus in Lagos State, that you can hasten up on the process of regularization of all lands. So once that is done, That is, you have the authority of the land. The next thing is for you to get your own consultants. You have not yet approached the government.
Yes.
So you approach your consultants, maybe a friend introduced to you, maybe from whichever means. Most likely is normally starts from the architect. So they do the design for you. You engage the other teams, that's engineers, for all the other engineering drawings. And of course, you also get a surveyor to give you the survey of the land, which of course must be registered by the Surveyor General of the state. All those forms part of the authority for the land. So having done all this, you now approach the physical planning authority. But let me stand a point of caution here is that before any purchase is made, it's advisable that you first confirm the status from lands. That will tell you the authority that this person selling this land to me has the authority, because the land, they have the details. Now, you also need to confirm from the physical planning, this now pertains to very large development, that, okay, this particular land that I want to buy for this purpose, is that what it is zoned for? Because we, this ministry, our core responsibility is production of plan. And when we produce plans, we designate areas that this area is for residential, this area is for commercial, this is for this. So if you bought into a land of, let's say, industrial,
Yes.
and you now want to come and get approval for residential, it will not fly. So it is important to also verify the purpose of that land from before you commit. So assuming that everything is okay, you are in the right path, you now approach the planning office, which is in your local government. You don't need to come to the head office or the ministry. We have 53 of them in Lagos State. Every local government, you go there, they will direct you to the closest planning office. So you get to them and you show them the plan, your plan. They will peruse that plan and be able to guide you whether it is approvable or not. There are planning regulations, whether you have enough setback, and the purpose of this setback, as at now, is constantly under review, is that it helps to provide comfort for those buildings. Now, let me give you an example. In a heavy commercial area, there is a limit space that you have to provide on both sides. Now, one of the advantages of this is that it enables you to have cross ventilation in the building. As we are seated now, we have problem with our power, so we have to rely on a generator, which will not be able to carry the AC. So if you have such a situation, you should still be able to use that building. So if everything is built up and you don't have constant airflow, you cannot use that building. So that's one of the benefits of that airspace. Now, in case, let's say, there is a fire outbreak, and fire brigade needs to come and attack the fire, they also need to be able to go in with their truck to be able to fight the fire. Suppose the fire started from the back of the building. So how will they be able to maneuver their way in if everything is built? So these are very, very cogent reasons why we have that. Some people may want to comply it with what happens in the Western world. In the Western world, they even fight fire with a drone. We don't have that here. So for now, we have to rely on that. When we get to that sophisticated level, we can close up and disregard the airspace. But for now, it is very, very important.
Lagos now I only you.